Hi everyone. Today I'm going to take a look at the movie The Fallout to see if it's okay for kids. This was a request from one of my followers, so thank you for the suggestion, although I have to say I have some hesitation about this review. I hadn't heard of the movie, and as soon as I looked it up, I knew I wouldn't like it at all. Again, as I always say, you may totally disagree with me, so please feel free to come to your own conclusions. Also, I'll warn you, this review has both spoilers as well as some disturbing content. If you aren't familiar, The Fallout is a movie starring Jenna Ortega, our favorite Wednesday Addams. However, in this movie, Jenna Ortega plays Vada, a high school student. She's in the school bathroom when a school shooting breaks out. While she is safe, she's extremely traumatized from the event. The movie covers the fallout of what happens after the shooting. Now, when I watch a movie, I want to be entertained. I personally don't like sad or scary movies. So when we talk about the annoying level of this movie, it's pretty high for me. I don't want to watch a school shooting. I don't want my kids to watch a school shooting. The entire thing is just super depressing, and that's not what I want out of a movie. I know some people are into that sort of thing, so I'll try to take everybody's opinions into account. But even if you don't mind that kind of movie, showing your child a realistic movie about a school shooting can be really traumatic for them. So you might end up dealing with a lot of fear and anxiety in your kid after they watch. So I'm going to set this about a third of the way up. Moving on to language. Like most shows about teens, there is bad language. There are all the typical words you can imagine, including plenty of F words. But I should also mention the N-word is used in a song that's playing in the background, so we should put this a touch higher than just normal cursing. I'll set the language level to medium high. I'm noticing I don't have a section for drinking and drugs. Should I add one? Anyway, this movie has quite a bit of drinking and drugs that add to making it more inappropriate, so put that wherever you want to in these ratings. Anyway, moving on to the sex rating. There isn't a tremendous amount of sex in this movie, but there is some. As Vada and Mia get closer, they do eventually sleep together. Vada also kisses Quentin. There's no real nudity, and the sex isn't shown at all. I'm not sure if this warrants going halfway up the scale, so instead I'll set it somewhere between low and medium. I'm not sure why all my ratings today are kind of in between. The big one in this movie is the violence. The whole premise of the movie is a school shooting. I read some other reviews that said it wasn't that bad because they didn't actually show any of the violence. I just don't buy that at all. I mean, the trailer for this movie has a warning that there's disturbing content. And that's just the trailer. You hear the shooting. You see Quentin come in covered in blood. It's an extremely intense scene. People would have no problem visualizing the parts of the scene that aren't actually shown. Also, when I look at violence, I think realism is a big factor. If a giant monster is terrorizing a town in a movie, it might be scary and violent, but to a certain extent, you can watch it and know it's not real and it couldn't happen. Scenes like this are the exact opposite of that. They just plant a bunch of what-if scenarios in your mind. So even though you don't actually see much violence, it's the undercurrent of the entire movie. So for that reason, I'm setting it to medium-high. Before we wrap up, let's talk about cost quickly. I found this movie for sale on YouTube. For some reason, you could only buy it and not rent it, which was annoying to me. You also can watch The Fallout on HBO Max if you have that service. I just read that HBO Max increased its price. It's now up to $16 a month. It's comparable to Netflix, but I feel like there's less selection on HBO Max, which is why we don't have that. Anyway, the price is reasonable for what you're getting, so I'll set this to low. Okay, we made it through the ratings. I still don't like this movie, but you can't deny how talented Jenna Ortega is. She's really great. That being said, I don't want my kids watching a movie about a school shooting. Now, I know my stance is usually that kids are exposed to adult things like sex and profanity anyway, so why don't you let them watch it in a movie? Well, guess what? School shootings in real life aren't appropriate either. Just because they're happening doesn't make them okay. No kid should ever even know that a school shooting is a possibility. Also, I've seen kids that are prone towards anxiety get really obsessed with the notion of school shootings, and watching a movie like this can definitely make that anxiety much worse. I'm going to rate this as okay for 16 and up. And even I think that's a bit low. If it were up to me, I definitely wouldn't want my kids to watch this. My kids aren't 16 yet, but you know what I mean. I don't want them to have these types of scenarios at the top of their mind. Not to mention, the whole way Vada copes with her trauma is through drinking, drugs, sex, and pulling away from her family. The film is rated R, so I don't think I'm being too overboard in my rating. And again, this is nothing against Jenna Ortega at all. She is phenomenal. Well, let me know what you think in the comments. Was I too strict in this rating? And don't forget to subscribe to see other reviews about what games, shows, channels, and more are okay or not okay for your kids. See you next time.